Hey everybody, how are you? Happy Friday. Happy Feng Shui Friday. How's everybody doing today? Heading into, well, really in the holiday season already. Um, Hold on, I'm just going to check this one thing. Okay. So, I'm here today to talk about things that you can do right now as we coast into the end of the year, that will really set you up energetically for next year, for 2021. Um, Last year at this time, right around this time, I was starting to run a new workshop, which I called Feng Shui Rituals for the New Year. And it was amazing. Like, it was really geared to set the attendees up for really powerful manifesting in 2020. And it was great. We did a lot of really fun stuff and set some really intentional goals, and placed some things and activations to really call energy to what we were creating in 2021. And it wrapped up wonderfully kind of in the middle of January. And I'm so glad I did that. I was saying, led a webinar the other night, and I was saying that, 2020 was such a year, right? And I'm really glad that I was so intentional about the beginning of my year, last year specifically, or this year specifically, because when all of the shit hit the fan, I really was in a pretty good place. And, Feng Shui is one of those things, it doesn't really allow you to avoid the bumps and the challenges in life, but it definitely allows you to coast over them with a little bit more ease and grace than normal, because you are in the flow and in alignment with unseen energies that are supporting you. And so, having done that workshop, whenever I run a workshop, I follow along with it, and I put it in practice just along with all of the people who are attending. And I'm so glad I did that. And I really believe that everybody who participated in that program probably went into the challenges of 2020 with, a little bit of a head start than others who didn't. And so, the new year itself is really a powerful time of hope, a powerful time of transition. It's a great, we're all sort of taking a little step back anyway and sort of planting seeds for the year to come. And so it is a powerful time to implement Feng Shui and to put some things in place that will really set you up for the future. And this year in particular, it's a really powerful year energetically in terms of astrological forces. I am not an astrologist, but I am fascinated by it, and I follow a lot of astrologers. So I'm not the person to take this information from, but if this interests you, I highly recommend that you go and do a little bit of Google searching for things like the Grand Conjunction and the New Age of Aquarius, and also some astrological changes that are happening around the winter solstice. Hi Judy, it's good to see you here. If you guys are listening live, I would love for you to say hello and let me know where you're watching from. The solstice itself is a powerful time, energetically, the change of seasons and the astrological forces that are at play really give us this, like, it's almost like a jump start or a restart button in normal years. But in this particular year, it's like a 20-year happening, and there are some planets aligning, and some people are saying portals opening, and that we as a I'm saying community, but as a world, as people of the world, are really kind of stepping into the next age, and we're literally moving from Pisces to Aquarius. And the exact date for that is really in question among a lot of astrologists, but it's kind of, there's a lot of energy that leads up to that and a lot of energy after the fact, and we're definitely in that shift and transition now. So there's this huge, powerful shift happening already, and you can kind of jump into it and tap into it. And so I always, hi Maria, how are you? Good to see you from Canada. I always do some special extra steps regarding feng shui around the new year. And in most years, I give myself a lot of grace. When I say the new year, especially when my kids were younger, I would do a lot of new year rituals, which I'm going to go into in a minute. But I would, the holiday season when you're a new mom is just crazy, right? Shopping, wrapping, taking care of kids. One of my daughters is actually born on Christmas Day, so it feels super magnified to be busy and kind of crazy and chaotic. And so I always kind of get through Christmas and then like have felt drained and exhausted, and didn't really put a lot of effort into feng shui for the new year. But I gave myself grace a few years back, saying, you know what, in China they actually practice the new year in January. And so I gave myself the month of January to kind of put these things into play. And you can definitely do that. I think that a lot of it is just kind of calendar settings that we're following, but you're allowed to give yourself grace, and just don't skip it. Just like don't skip it. Make sure you do these things. I will be honest that this year I'm really a lot more ambitious about it. I want to take advantage of, these other forces and portals and support that's in play with really planting seeds and getting ready for the coming year, and really taking advantage and harnessing the energies that are at play at the end of December and heading into January. So I'm moving up my New Year's ritual calendar a little bit this year, and really trying to be prepared and do a lot of it around the solstice and towards the end of the year. And I'll explain more about what that is as I explain what I'm talking about. So definitely this weekend, really, between the 18th and the 21st. The 21st is the winter solstice, and it's when this grand conjunction, this big astrological happening, and I might even not be using the right words, so don't quote me on that. But this big planetary alignment is happening over this next couple of days, and I want to be ready for that. And so I can't do all of my rituals this weekend because I'm also super behind in my wrapping and shopping and all those things. But I am planning to get really clear on what it is that I want to call in for 2021. And we talked about this a little bit the other night in the Using Your Home as a Vision Board webinar, where for me, the way I do that is to take a look at the 9 life areas that are in the Feng Shui Bagua map and think about, for those 9 different parts of my life, how has it been this past year and how do I want it to be different next year? And getting really clear, because I think number one, clarity is the very first key in setting up any kind of powerful feng shui cures or techniques, or using feng shui to align you with anything. The very first thing is you have to be clear on what you want to align with. So that's my plan for this weekend, is to just really kind of sit back and reflect on what's gone on and what I want to be different or better, or shift next year. And then from that point on, I'm definitely going to be taking some time to do some decluttering. And to me, that means, it doesn't mean like letting go of everything that's in the way. There's a lot in the way and a lot that I could be like letting go of, but really being intentional about noticing the physical things that maybe I don't need anymore, especially need going forward into this new thing that I'm calling in, and release those things. And also to do a little bit of a emotional and energetic decluttering. What are the patterns or behaviors that I've been practicing that are not going to support the next level of me, the 2021 life that I am calling forward for me? And so that decluttering I think a lot of people think decluttering around the holiday season, oh my gosh, there's no way I can accomplish that because I have too much to declutter. But, and that's true for all of us, for sure. But don't skip the step. Don't not do it, because it's really powerful, even if you just, go around and choose 3 things, or go around and take 3 things from each room, or set a timer on Saturday morning and spend 30 minutes just grabbing things that you know you don't need anymore. And it could be something as silly as, the extra wooden spoons that you have in your kitchen drawer that you don't use anyway. And making room. What you're doing is symbolically making room for what's coming in the new year. I like to do a devotional cleaning. I'm not a big fan of cleaning. I'm not good at cleaning. I don't love to be cleaning the house all the time. But I have put this devotional cleaning into play, meaning that it's showing my home some love, like, and really thinking about it, not from this place of it being a chore, but really loving it and appreciating it and giving back to it the way it is supported. It's certainly supported us in far more ways than expected this year. Supported both my work at home, my handling of my family's loss. We lost my father earlier in the year, and having this safe, sacred place to come home to after that was really powerful for me. It's become home to my children's schoolwork a couple of days a week, and it's also full-time home to my husband's job as well. So it's really been doing a lot for us, and not necessarily perfectly, but I still appreciate what it's done, and I want to just give it some love back. And I can tell you with certainty that the more love that you put into your space, the more love you will get back. And I mean that in terms of energetic alignment and fortunate blessings coming your way. When you show love and appreciation for the things that you have, it pretty much sets you up for attracting a lot more of things that you want. So it's a big energetic alignment. So if you can make that energetic shift from, I have to clean the house and it's such a busy time of the year, to, this house has really served me this year and I'm going to really show it some love and do a deep clean. And as deep as you can. Like in past years, I've, washing the floors was a big step for me. And so I would do something like that. So maybe you take time to do the things, or 1 or 2 of the things that you normally neglect. So that could be, it could be like, I don't clean the floors very often. So that was a big thing for me, to actually take the time to clean the floors and show my space that kind of love, which it usually wasn't getting. So number 1, get clear. Number 2, do some decluttering, make some room for what you want to call in. Number 3, do some devotional cleaning. And then for those of you who do have, hi Linda, how are you? Who do have some Feng Shui cures in place already, take them down and clean them off and think about whether or not they're still serving you. And, maybe give them a good shining. Over the winter solstice, it's a great time to kind of, if you have like crystals in place, or I don't know, any kind of energetic cure that's in place, you could put out in the sun or under the moonlight and really give it an energetic cleansing and cleaning, and decide whether or not that's what you want to put back in place. I think a lot of people with Feng Shui think that Feng Shui is one and done, and they say, oh, I want more wealth in my life, and then they put a wealth cure in their wealth corner, and they walk away and never pay it any love or attention. And that, is unfortunate, because by giving it energy and giving it attention, you are sending energy towards it. And so take those cures down that you have in place, give them some love, and think about whether or not they are the right things to go back in place for what you're calling in next year. You may find that it doesn't serve you anymore. You may find that it hasn't really worked yet, so maybe you want to do something a little bit different, or spark it in a different way than you have in past years. And by the new year, if you can put some new cures in place, based on some new symbols, based on what you're calling in for 2021, that's really powerful. You've done that walk through the 9 life areas, and come up with a symbol that symbolizes what you're calling in for each one of those areas and place it where you can see it and where it will remind you of what the potential is in your life in 2021. And then the last thing I would say is, to really activate the cures that you're putting in place. And the way that I do this is through, some different rituals. And this is what that workshop that I was talking about that I ran last year was all about. It was, I like to not just put cures in place, but to really layer them with activations and rituals, like really layer them, the potential of them. So I might put an affirmation out in one of the life areas, and then I might put a crystal on top of it, and then I might put some essential oils in that area, and then I might light a candle or some incense to really activate it and call it forward. This, again, it's all about putting your attention where you want energy to flow, and you want energy to flow towards that thing that you're calling in. And so those rituals are really powerful. Does anybody have any questions right now that I can answer for you? Yeah, so those are I guess 6 things that I would try to focus on before the new year. And, give yourself some grace if you need to. If your life has been crazy, there are still powerful times every month to manifest new things or to plant seeds for new things. We get a new moon every month, and that's always a good transition. There's a day number 1 of every month, and so that's another time to do a transition. And it can be really powerful for you to just put the action into play and pay attention to it. And again, to revisit it every once in a while and make sure it's working on your behalf. I am not offering that workshop again this year. I loved it, and it will probably come back again sometime soon. But it doesn't, it's not going to happen this year because of my schedule and my calendar. But I will say that I've decided to kind of make it available in a one-on-one aspect. And so if you are booking with me for a Feng Shui and energy clearing package for your home in January, you're actually going to get an extra session with me, which is about really calling in the magic of manifesting and setting some cures in place and activating them, and learning some rituals that you can practice throughout the year that really encourage the energy to come towards what you want and help you manifest with greater ease. And so that's an offer that I have out right now for January. I have very limited spaces available in January at this point, but if you're interested, definitely reach out to me, because that's an amazing bonus that I'm adding into that. You'll also get a workbook which I created for the Feng Shui Rituals workshop, which is all about, step by step, the rituals that I do on a yearly basis to help call in and activate the cures that I'm putting in place and the things that I'm calling in for the new year. Some extra magic. I really think it is. I call it magic, but it's not magic. It's about intention and deliberate intent, and that's what we put in place with that extra session. So it's normally $1,297, $1,297 to work with me for the Feng Shui and Energy Clearing package. We work together over 6 weeks, and about 6 weeks. It might be a little bit longer in this January case. You're not just going to get a checklist from me. You're going to get me by your side as a mentor, and to help you be accountable, and also to help you through the resistance that comes up as you start shifting energy. And so we're really working together through this package. And you'll get that extra session as well. So reach out to me. I'm going to put the link in the comments when we finish up, and you can book it, or you can reach out to me if you have questions. Okay, let's see. Karen, thank you for letting me know how to say that. How do you let go of items with emotional attachment that belong to a deceased parent? I can't. Okay, wow, this is such a good question. I'll give you an example. So my dad passed this year in April, and we did a lot of cleaning out. We did tons of cleaning out of his house, and there wasn't a lot that I felt emotionally attached to. There were a few things, and those things are in a box downstairs and haven't been gone through yet. The other day, as I was decorating for Christmas, I was opening up Christmas boxes and all the things that we have stored away. And one of the things that I found is this book that my parents gave to us. I'm going to get teary. It's like a Hallmark book, and it's the "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" story. And my dad always read that story to us at Christmas time, and he read it to my kids. And the book is a voice recording of his saying the story. And it was shocking to open it and find it and realize that he's gone. Sorry. But it's also this amazing blessing to have his voice. So there's a difference. What I want you to understand is that there's those things that feel like when you look at them and you touch them and hold them, they bring you this closeness to the person that you left behind. Sorry for the tears. And then there are those things that you might pick up and hold that make you feel sad, or make you feel the loss, or make you remember maybe a bad memory about that person or that time, or that feel guilty. They might bring up some guilt that maybe things should have been done differently or closed differently. Or they might bring up this obligation, like you feel like you have to keep this thing and it doesn't feel good. Like you have to kind of pay attention to how it makes you feel when you're holding it. So there was a difference. Like I saw that book and it immediately brought me close to my dad again, versus some of the other things that might be stored in those boxes, which I haven't gone through yet, are probably things that I just feel a little bit responsible for making sure they get honored before they moved on. But they have a little bit of responsibility and a little bit of obligation to them. And so it doesn't feel quite as uplifting and energizing. Does that make sense? So it's really about, well, first of all, it's really about knowing, number one, that item is not going to bring the person back. It's not replacing that person. Even if I didn't have that book of my dad's voice, I don't have my mom's voice. She's passed as well. And I've thought 100 times, man, I wish I could hear her say that one thing again. Hi, it's mom, right? But I don't have that. But I still feel connected to her in the same way I do with my dad. So you can have that connection to the person that you've lost without the item itself. You really can. And what I will say is that sometimes it takes a while to get to that point. Clearly, I'm not there yet. But sometimes it takes a while to get to that point where you're able to let the item go. And in the meantime, it is really serving you. So I define clutter as things that aren't serving you anymore. And if you're holding on to that thing because you do need it to remind you of that person or to bring you comfort, then it's still serving you. So you don't have to feel bad about keeping it and not letting it go. And no, I mean, there were a lot of things that we went through in my dad's house that there was just absolutely no question that I didn't need to hold on to those things. I let go of things a lot more easy than a lot of other people do. I will say that, but I do still have deep attachments to some things. And so it is, it's really about giving yourself grace and allowing yourself to keep the items. If you're questioning whether or not to let it go, then it's probably not time to let it go, right? And there will become a point where it will be easy to release it. And that goes with any kind of clutter. Like if you're not sure and you're driving yourself crazy about how to get rid of it or who to give it to or what to do with it, then it might not be time to let it go. I actually, I have this client that I worked with a few years ago, and she loves books. She absolutely loves books, and she had an entire wall of books that she had collected. She was an educator, so she had collected them through her years of teaching and studying and all of that. And we talked about some ways that books can keep you rooted in the past, and she was interested in letting some of that go and creating room for the future. And so she had actually cleared out a whole bunch of books from that shelf and put them in the trunk of her car to donate, and then kept avoiding it and kept avoiding it and kept avoiding it, and finally just acknowledged that she really didn't want to let go of them yet. She wasn't ready. And so she brought them back in, and that's totally fine. Like if you're still feeling that energetic connection to them, it's okay to keep that stuff, and know that in some way it's serving you. And in some ways, like especially in terms of grief and loss, that item can be protecting you from, from feeling the grief and the the deep inner work that happens with letting somebody go. You just may not be ready for that at this time, and so keeping yourself, keeping those things to protect you is a form of serving you, right? It is helping you to a degree to provide comfort and safety and connection to the person that left. And so you may want to keep those things. But the way that I decide that is literally to kind of just, I physically connect with the item and I hold it and I sit with it for a little while and I think about, what am I really feeling? Like, am I feeling connected to that person in a good way, or am I feeling heavy, sad? Is it bringing me down, right? Then that's how I know it's time to let it go. Karen says, I understand it's still hard. She loves lipstick, but these sentimental things do not necessarily expensive items. They make me feel close to her. Yep. And Jody, I agree. Take a photo of it. Keep the memory and not the physical thing. I think that's really powerful in a lot of cases. And in a lot of cases, to choose, like say you have a whole collection of things, to choose one or two or three. And I think the other thing, Jody, you'll probably resonate with this, is to be honoring the things that you're keeping. Like those things that are downstairs in the box of my dad's are not being honored right now. They're literally stuffed in a box, stuffed in the back room, and waiting for me to have time to go through it. They're not being honored. And the true way to honor that person's memory is to have those things out and around you and celebrated, rather than just stored somewhere, right? Taking up real estate in a box somewhere. That's not necessarily the best way to honor that person's life and their legacy. So, finding those one or two or three things that really, really speak to you and that you can place out around you, that when you look at them, they really raise you up and don't deplete you or bring you to a negative place about the loss. So I hope that helps. Al says, why are we blocked in getting rid of clutter? I'm stuck. Well, I think it really depends. There's a lot of different reasons why people get stuck on it. A lot of it is it's just simply overwhelming to start. So, it's just kind of hard, like when you're looking at a bunch of clutter, to know where to begin. That's number one. And number two, I think that there's this knowing that it's not just the physical item that you're going to be dealing with. You are dealing with all the emotions attached to it, all the memories attached to it. You're dealing with, a lot of people deal with this ability of feeling like they're responsible for making sure it gets taken care of in a certain way. So there's all these steps to take to get it to another person who will honor it and those kind of things. So there's a lot of steps involved in it. And the other thing is that you're not just dealing with the physical item itself, you're dealing with the emotions and the energy attached to it. And there's, even in the webinar the other night, I started off by explaining that everything in our environment, even the inanimate objects that we surround ourselves with, are energy, and that we are energetically connected. Like imagine an invisible cord between you and that thing that's clutter. It is connected to you. And there's a lot of reasons why you might be holding on to it. One could be no time to deal with it. Another could be that it's, connected to a situation that you haven't dealt with, like an emotional situation or feelings and emotions, or people that you've avoided, right? So the clutter issue can be really thick and layered with lots of charged energy. And so that's not, that's why it can be so hard to let it go. I hope that answers your question, Patty or Al. And I would say, just to start slowly, you can feel like you have a lot of clutter and you have to deal with it all at once. But, for a lot of my clients, it really works well to just to make a commitment and say, my 2021 resolution is that, I'm going to take 7 things a week and move them on. Or, I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes every Saturday and clean out a box and go through it. So it's really just getting yourself started. Karen says, I took a lot of photos of clothing, but now it's down to the last items. Yep, so if you're not ready, you're not ready. So just don't beat yourself up about that. Just hold on to it and try to honor it and appreciate it. But don't ignore it. I think it's important to kind of check in with it. I know a lot of people might put all that stuff in storage and tuck it away somewhere and think that it's dealt with, but there really is that energetic connection between you and the item, and it'll keep whispering to you and it'll keep talking to you, and then it becomes kind of distracting and depleting on this subtle level that you can't really see, and it depletes you and it depletes your potential. So check in with it every once in a while, and it's okay to check in with it in 3 months and say, yeah, I'm still not ready. And then put it away and know that you have not ignored it, but you're definitely making progress towards it. Jody says she's going to set a timer each day for 30 minutes to declutter. Clarity is your 2021 word. You will get so much clarity if you do that, Jody. It definitely is true that as you make room in your physical surroundings, you are making room in your energetic surroundings and your mental surroundings, all of that. You're definitely making space. You're allowing energy to flow more freely around your physical space. And it also, as you let go of those items, you are breaking those cords and those distractions that are energetically and mentally and physically draining you. So you will really get a lot more clutter if you make clutter clearing part of your clarity process in 2021. Yeah, so that is what I wanted to share with you today. Sorry for getting so emotional, but I'm working through some of that stuff myself. It's been I feel like the one thing I would say about 2020 is that because I led that workshop at the beginning of the year, I really went into 2021 with some real clear intentions for the year, and was very deliberate about what I was planning for the year. And all of that changed when my dad got sick, and all of it changed again when COVID happened. And but as doors closed, other doors opened, and there was this acceptance and this ease and flow about what was unfolding in front of me. And I believe that was from the Feng Shui that I put in place at the beginning of the year. And I just hope that you can do a little bit of that for yourself heading into 2021. We all need a shift and change after this year, right? There's so much to clear out, especially in our homes. And I didn't say that. I'll probably be jumping in before the end of the new year to share some more tips. But I didn't say that. But doing an energetic clearing as well as a physical clearing is so important this year. There are layers of stuff that have built up in our homes. One, because we've spent more time there. Two, because we've really been feeling very stuck and frustrated. And so, that's definitely another part of that New Year's process that I do, is I do an energy clearing. And that's why I include energy clearings in all of my packages, because I think it's important to literally break up the old energy and call in space and fresh energy to support us in the new year. Linda says, my sister brought me a box of tons of photos that were my parents and grandparents, and I feel guilty getting rid of them, but no one, especially the younger generation, wants them. Yes, that's hard to do. Jody actually does this. She digitizes and scans and stores photos and slides. This is her business, and she's amazing at it. So maybe Linda, you and Jody can connect. But the other thing I would say, Linda, that is true in our family as well. We've had that come up. We have kind of one family member who is like a historical person and does the geology for our family, and he takes a lot of those photos, which is great. But one thing I have heard, and I haven't confirmed this for myself, is that a lot of historical societies would love to have the old photos. So if you are feeling like you you don't want to be the caretaker of those anymore, go through and pick out the ones that are important, and maybe pass on the rest to a historical society or the local library or something like that. Look and see if those are options, because even though it may not be a history that you want to maintain, or you might even not even know the stories behind the pictures at this point, a lot of times there's people who are looking to tell those stories or see those stories or might know more about those stories. Al asks if you can do an energy clearing with clutter. Great question. You can, you definitely can, and you can make a difference, but you make a lot more progress and you create a lot more shift if you've done some decluttering first. And that doesn't mean decluttering everything, but I would say that doing a session of decluttering before you do an energy clearing is going to be powerful. So, even if it's just 7, 10, 12 items that you clear and remove from your space before you do an energy clearing, you're going to make a difference. You're going to allow the energy to shift and move in a different way than it was able to before. And so it will be helpful for sure. Definitely clutter is something that physically stops the energy from being able to move. And so, if you've got a lot of clutter and you do the energy clearing and you haven't released anything, it can still, it might kind of move a little bit, but it's still a little sticky and heavy and stagnant. So as much as you can clear beforehand, the better. But don't let that stop you. Like if setting a goal of clearing 20 things out is what you can accomplish, and then you do the energy clearing, do that. And you can always, it happens in phases. You don't accumulate all this stuff, overnight. You can't clear it overnight, but you can definitely make positive shifts in the energy of your space over time. So definitely do that. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Jody. Everybody else that was here, I really appreciate you being here. I just want you to know that I really appreciate all of you, whether you're listening now or listening to the recording later. This has been, a year for all of us, and I appreciate those of you who let me kind of shift into slow gear this year and take care of the things that I needed to at home. I appreciate those of you that just show up and listen and have conversations with me about this topic that I love. And I really hope you are all doing well in your homes and are able to love the space that you're in. And I hope it's a sacred space for you. And if it's not yet, that you can work towards that in 2021. I think 2020 showed us that we really need to have that sacred space at home so that we can use it in healthy ways instead of feeling kind of trapped in our spaces. And I wish you all a happy new year and a happy holiday season. Next Friday is Christmas, and the Friday after that is New Year's Eve or New Year's, I forget which. So I don't know if I'm coming live on the next 2 weeks, but I will definitely be back in the new year. I may put up some recorded messages for you, and I may pop in live unannounced as well. So if you want to click that follow button, if you can find it there, then Facebook will let you know when I'm going live, and you can pop in if you're interested in following along. But keep checking back on the page, because I may put up some recorded messages for you through the new year with some tips and information. If I can support you one-on-one with Feng Shui, please reach out to me. I've got a few spaces available for January and an amazing bonus, which I will share with you as well. So that is all. Take care, everybody. Have a great afternoon and a great holiday season. Take care.